What is going on? You are listening to TAGSPodcast, aka Talk About Gay Sex Podcast. This is episode 540. I am your host, Steve V, alongside Jeremy Ross Lopez. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm really good. How are you?
Pretty good here. Joining us, of course, is the lovely Kodi Maurice Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful.
Nice. Well, good to hear.
How are you?
I'm good. A little tired today just because you and I actually, believe it or not, watched most of the Super Bowl. And but we watched part of it at my place here. I made some fun food, some vegetarian tacos.
Which were amazing. Thank you so much.
And we had cocktails here. And then we went to the Eagle, which I'm glad I made food here because they had like a submarine sandwich for all that you could eat off of. And I was like, I don't want to eat at the Eagle. Not my thing. And
yeah, me either.
yeah, exactly. So, but how much fun did we have watching the game? And I mean, I'm not even Mr. Football fan, but this was an exciting game, other than the fact that I'm from San Francisco and wanted the 49ers to win. And also because I didn't feel like now we're going to have to hear about the fairy tale Taylor Swift and what's his name?
Travis Kelce.
Yeah, forever now. What did you
I
think?
I wonder if if the whole like all the pressure with Taylor kind of like enticed him to get going and like do even better playing.
I think so.
It could be. I think he didn't really have like the greatest game himself personally, but the
Yeah.
team did. And, I think here we are talking football specs. And I love it.
Right?
In the first half, they weren't doing so great, but they turned it around on the second half and listen to us. But yeah, it was a really cool. We should talk about Usher though. And that I thought was a great performance. Jeremy, did you get to see any of it?
Yes, I loved it. I honestly I turned it on. I didn't watch any of the game at all, and I turned it on right when the JLo commercial came on for
Oh my
Duncan, which was
God.
funny.
Did you
And
like
then
that commercial?
I thought it was so stupid. Obviously, I love Jen and Ben, but I was just like, what the hell am I watching? But I honestly felt like
Yes.
a lot of the commercials were a weird version
Yeah.
of advertisement for their brands. And I felt like, is it me or is everyone like trying too hard? Like, I remember the days when Britney was in the Pepsi commercial and they were like unbelievably good. And I just felt like all of these were like corny and like stupid and contrived. But on the Usher note, I thought it was amazing. I love the Alicia Keys feature. I
Yes.
felt like the sound was a little off, but I feel like that's just an outdoor event anyways, like something that's that big. I feel like the sound isn't always that great, but the outfits were sick. I loved the white outfit a lot.
Me too.
And
And how
I
it,
love that he stripped because
yes.
I was hoping that he was going to strip because at first I'm like, wait, this is like a jacket and a vest and gloves. And then when he stripped, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing and exactly what I was looking for.
And his body, wow, he's got like an amazing
He's
chest.
always had a sick body. Like
Yeah.
he's had so many sexy, sultry like videos and songs, and it showed like his repertoire of how many good hits he had. And I loved the roller skating part. I thought that was
Oh
so
my
Me
cool.
too.
God.
It was so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I thought
really
it was
loved.
it was super exciting. Like the party at the beginning with like all the different feathered dresses and dancers and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very homage to Vegas. I was telling Kodi that I thought he had such a layered performance and a body of work to pull from. So, well, it started off more him singing and it just kept building layer after layer until we got to things like Alicia Keys or Her, which I love, rocking out
That
on
guitar
her.
solo was everything.
Amazing, to ultimately like the huge costume changes, the dancing, and I thought what an amazing well-rounded escalated performance that was just, it would make me consider seeing him if he does go on tour someday, because now I'm thinking, well, I know all of the songs. So what did
Yeah.
you think, Cody?
I loved it. I love Usher. The only criticism that I would say is that during the dancing parts, I don't know if the vocals were as strong. I don't know if the microphone was bouncing up and down, but when he was singing those ballads, you could just his beautiful voice just shone through. So I enjoyed every piece of it, especially the roller skating. And when her came out, I think I lost my mind because she's just
Yeah.
amazing. I even saw a meme about how everybody was thinking that her was blue. Sorry, not Blue Ivy, Northwest, because they
Oh
kind of
my
look
God.
similar. I know, right?
Not everything is about the, Beyonce
Kardashians.
or Kardashian. Sorry. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh my God. But
I just
yes,
thought it
great,
was funny.
great time, great time. And
Oh,
we,
did you guys see the outfits of like that was one thing that interested me was on I think it was TikTok that I was scrolling through that they showed the players all dressed up before like while they're walking in, and
oh,
some of the outfits were really hot. Like
Really?
the Taylor's man looked gorgeous, like sick sequined suit, or not sequined, it was like crystals on
Mm.
like a plaid jacket. They all have like designer duffel bags and luggage, and like the what's that player? I think his name is Holmes or something like that.
oh yes.
He had
Patrick
Mahomes.
Holmes.
yes, Mahomes. He had a gorgeous suit on, Louboutins, like they were all decked out. I have to send you guys the clip so you can see all the outfits.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I want to
just
see.
think in general they took Vegas seriously. It was the first time held in Vegas ever, and so you just felt that spirit of that is Vegas. So that was very exciting and getting me excited when I get to go to Vegas in a few weeks to see Madonna March 2nd. So that's going to be great. Okay, let's get into hot topics here. And the question is, can a vending machine help curb STDs? Imagine that you could go to a vending machine and get tests for HIV, STIs, and that's what they're hoping for. A new study of test dispensing machines in England points to an innovative way to expand sexual health services. And it was all based on a study that was published in the Sexually Transmitted Infections Research that analyzed data associated with nearly a dozen vending machines in two regions of England that were stocked with free kits to help detect, and these are free, which is great, to detect chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, and HIV. And they were placed in areas like libraries, university student unions, saunas, things like medical facilities, community centers, serving Black individuals, and a cafe, among other locations. And researchers said increased access to testing among men who have sex with men, people from Black communities, and younger people from 16 to 25 is their priority. So they're looking for things like HIV and all the other ones that they did. But the study was really looking at overall more than 2,500 interactions with the machines combined across roughly a year in one region and 6 months in another, related to both self sample STI tests and self test HIV kits. And the data includes more than 75 of interactions occurred among people 16 to 35, and more who identified as male, and about 40% were among those who identified as female. A fifth occurred among gay or bisexual men, and about half of the STI kits were sent in for results. So it's so with that last bit there, it shows that while these are free, you do have to follow through with these kits and ultimately send them
Hmm.
in, but at least half. And I think this is a great idea in my mind because, well, not everybody has access to great insurance. Not everybody is comfortable talking to their doctor about their sexual wellness. I think this could be a really good way to combat the growing trend of STIs. Jeremy, what do you think of this idea? Is it to help combat STIs?
I think it's a really great idea, and I think that it would be super helpful because I do think that uh, you're easily put into like a judgment zone when you are trying to express or figure out if you have an STI, or if you're going through a phase where you are more promiscuous than, say, another part of your life. And I feel like that is a really nice thing to have, that you don't have to explain too much, but you send in the kit and then figure it out, rather than let it linger or just put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. And also, if you're like sexually active, keeping your partner up to date and things like that.
I totally agree because I think the more sexually active you are, and if you're not using condoms, but you're, say, on prep, for example, just take me, for example. So I'll go, and I remember last year I did get an STI and my doctor prescribed it. And then a few months later, I was like, I should probably get checked again for STIs. And I didn't really want to go back to my doctor because he said before, he said, "Oh, I'm prescribing this again." Not in a judgmental way, but it was
What?
kind of, he wasn't judgmental, but in my
Okay.
mind, I just think the whole, like what Jeremy's talking about, you almost don't want to hear all the talk of your doctor. You just want to do the right thing. So
Hmm.
my trick is I go to a free clinic here in Chelsea that I'm registered in. Their testing actually is free. And so if I'm in between my months of having to get my prep renewed, I'll often go to the free clinic to circumvent going to my doctor. Still getting tested, but they're more of a judgment free zone. And again, it's not like my doctor is judging me, but
Hmm.
I would rather just, in between go to this clinic. But if I did live in a more rural area, I would like something like these vending machines because then you could just grab them and do it anonymously, doing the right thing, knowing about your health. I don't know. Kodi, what do you think about this trend that we could hopefully see come our way?
I think all the things you guys mentioned and highlighted is right on point there. I think that the anonymity and the easy access of this, and this expediency of getting tested this way will only benefit people, because I think about going to the even going to the clinic is time consuming sometimes. So I feel like this will help people get the care that they need, and know their status and know all about their STIs and things of that nature, just so they everybody could be informed. And you can't beat that, right? I think I need about 5, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, I think, it's actually putting vending machines have been around forever. I mean, I don't know how early, the 50s, I know they were around, probably earlier than that. And it's like they've always sold junk food, and that is not helping our health system. But this is actually a good thing, turning vending machines, putting them strategically in places that, like the Black and brown communities, I just think, we report on that all the time, how they're not getting access to prep and getting tested as much. And so I just think this is such a good idea. And I really hope it's a trend that we'll see coming around more. So, switching gears here, one Redditor recently went viral for asking the question, have he basically gay Redditors have nothing but big love for guys with beefy, hairy bellies. And one Redditor raved about guys who are hefty, chunky, etc., and he asked others to join in the conversation. That Redditor user asserted that he's bi and that he's fucking swoon over big boys. Quote, "You could definitely say I'm into bears," he added. "I can't explain why they're so hot to me. I'm sure I'm not the only one, right?" Well, it went pretty viral on Reddit because people had a lot to say. They said things like, "There's something really sexy about a big guy who's completely comfortable with the way he looks. It's a body plus personality thing for me. They're just nicer guys," somebody else said, "and don't really give off bad vibes." Somebody else said, "I personally only like bears. I like the big bellies. It makes for an amazing pillow. Feels amazing when spooning, and extra pressure when they're on top just makes the sex incredible." And they went on. I think this is a really good, we keep seeing more the expansion of our community and our tastes and what we like and polyamory. And, Kodi, we had Daddy Will on the show, Tags
Oh
Live, the
yeah.
other day, and he prefers not to use labels anymore. And by that, he means he's even having sex with people that are trans. And because of that, he doesn't feel, he said he actually likes pussy. And I was like, that's great. I just think now and at a time we're label less and it is more body positivity. I mean, Jeremy, when you hear this, would you jump on this bandwagon of the hairy, bigger gut?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't ever really shut out anyone specifically, and that's like including body type and race. I really think that it's best to focus on your connection with someone, and personality for me like speaks volumes and can easily turn me on more than anything.
I have to agree with you because for me personally, so when we're talking about like ourselves, like for me personally, on how I run my program, because I've just been an athlete my whole life and a gymnast, I just love working out and I have a certain way I want my body to look. But that's really just me. On a lot of people might think, oh, well, that's all you would be into as well. And the truth is, no, it's not. It's just a personal thing for me. Now, am I going to lie? Kodi and I were at the Eagle yesterday, and when a hottie body walked by us, we both were like swiveling our head, or
Yeah.
asses were out, and they were bubblicious, and it was just really hot and sexy. But that's just eye candy, right? And well, I like that too. I don't really have a specific type that I like. I don't mind if a nice bigger guy. I've often liked guys like that too. So I just think, what are your thoughts on this, Kodi? How do you weigh in?
Well, first of all, I want to say I'm glad we're showing love to our bigger boys, our lovely fluffy men. We love them, and I think all bodies are beautiful. And like you said, I think that I don't necessarily discriminate between race, body type, anything like that. I am a big fan of muscles, but the muscle bears exist, so I don't want to like disqualify anybody or any body type just because of how they present themselves. And I think that we should all be that way because beauty comes in many sizes and shapes and things of that nature. So just be open to things. I'm glad that we're actually getting out there and spreading the love.
Yeah, and I think it's also great too because I'm not surprised that this went viral in so many ways because there's so many bear weekends and communities that are all around not just the states but the world. I mean, Sitges has a huge bear week over there in Spain, uh, Berlin. I mean, it's just huge, and so I can see why it's now embedded in our world, and I love that. So I might even want to go to visit Jeremy, and we could go to Bear Week in
Ooh.
Provincetown, P Town.
I know my friends were talking about that, and I'm like, I would totally be down for that. And I I feel like it is an inviting like community and crowd, and super nice as well.
Absolutely. And for those looking for a fun movie trilogy, because I think there are up to three, I think it's called Bear City, is the name of the film, and they're really great, fun films. And I think the last one was shot in P Town, and it was really good. So check that out. Okay, well, we all know that Valentine's Day is this Wednesday, and tomorrow, because this show drops on Tuesday. And Queerty decided to do 19 gay date ideas beyond the usual bar scene. I, of course, will be co hosting Tags Live with Kodi. So sorry,
Hmm.
Kodi, you will be my Valentine that night.
I'm more than happy to be.
Exactly. But for those that are really looking for an interesting thing to do, this gives some good suggestions, and I'll read them in just a second. But one of the things that I don't always think is a good idea is to go to a restaurant when you're competing with every other couple in the world, trying to get reservations and who was I talking to? I was talking to a friend of mine that works at a really posh, high-end restaurant here in New York yesterday at the bar, and I said, "Well, what's going on for this week?" He says, "Oh, yes, we have a Valentine's Day menu, but we had people like messaging us the minute February started. What's your this one woman was like, from out of town, and she's like, "Can you please send me the PDF of the menu? I need to know what's on it." And
What?
it's like, and this is like an Alain Ducasse restaurant, so it's gonna be good, bitch. So like, just I mean, if you want to go, book a reservation. But she needed to know it, and they weren't there yet. They weren't ready to put it out. So it's like, calm down. And see, that's who you're competing with, I think, when you go to these restaurants. And I don't know. I don't want to be at a table, and here in New York, our tables are so close together, and it's be like, "Hi, what are you getting over there? I'm getting the steak too. What are you ordering over there? You're ordering the chocolate souffle. Wah wah. I'm doing the same thing too. Wah wah. Happy Valentine's Day. Wah wah." And so, anyways, with that said, some of the things that they offer budget friendly are things like outdoor activities. Now, obviously, here in New York, because we're about to snow this week, picnic in the park wouldn't be a number one here. But if you're in places like, I don't know, sunny LA, I would consider this. A picnic in the park is lovely. Hiking and nature walks, I think, is one of the most underrated things you can do. It's free, and there's no better way to get to know somebody depending on a walk. I mean, it's just to be with nature is one of my favorite things. And if you can combine that with a date, I am all in. A beach day escapade. I like that idea, but sometimes those can be like here in New York, we have to go to Jersey to the naked beach. That would be a good day beach, but it's an all day extravaganza.
Yeah.
City exploration on bikes is another one. And then they said for indoor activities, you could do a cooking class at home, turn your kitchen into a culinary studio with an online cooking class or meal kit. That's really cute, I think, and kind of a fun idea. Do it yourself art night. Maybe a virtual museum tour. You could travel the world from your living room by taking virtual tours of museums. Or I would just rather, I mean, the pandemic's over in my mind. I'd rather just go to.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Themed movie marathons could be a lot of fun. What do you think, Jeremy, of some of these ideas? And what's your idea of a good Valentine's Day with your beau that you might, if you had one, what would be?
I mean, I think making it not too contrived is always better. And I think that I like spontaneous stuff, especially when it comes to uh, celebrating a holiday with anyone and making it special. I feel like doing any of that list of things, like even going bowling or
Oh, yeah.
going to a museum or going to a movie, and I think is kind of boring just because there's not a lot of talking. But I love the cooking class idea at home,
Me
um,
too.
and a walk and a coffee date and like maybe brunch and stuff like that. I feel like I think that it's best not having too much of a build up and having it be more organic and in the moment and not something that needs a month in advance reservation or something
Yeah.
like that.
Right, too much pressure, and then you're really. I was listening, Cody, to this radio show, BBC Radio One, that I listen to every Friday, and they were doing Valentine's Day nightmare situations. And somebody actually, a boyfriend to his girlfriend, decided to use Chat GPT to write the message of the Valentine card in it. And she got wind of it too, because it apparently was kind of generic. And
Hmm.
it's like she's still with him though, but I'm like, that's just lazy. I mean,
Yeah.
please don't get me a card if you're going to use Chat GPT to write the message inside, please. Yeah, really bad. Cody, what's some of your ideas, or what do you think of some of these interesting ideas to celebrate Valentine's Day?
I think anything as long as you're connecting, because that's what this day is all about. I think that if I were to go on, well, you're my date, so we're going to be expanding minds, definitely there. I think that that's my type of date. something that really enlightens you, that allows you to connect, having a moment together. So the museum is great. Uh, reading. No, we're not reading. Going out to dinner. I do like going out to dinner, though. Even though it is a little bit generic, I still think that a good meal really bonds you. So I think that's one thing. Also, cooking for your beau. I plan on making some risotto for the first time this Wednesday. So I don't know. I'm going to be treating myself to a nice Valentine's night.
I like that. Yeah, definitely cooking is great. And I think the cooking class idea, or when you kind of cook together, it's an active activity that the two of you can partake in. And it gets to see, you can bring out your flirty, fun side. You can really see who's good at what. So maybe one's a little bit more cooking savvy and they could take on maybe the more interesting, harder aspects of the meal, and the other one could prep. And that could just be good lessons on how this relationship might, go down the road. And so I'm here for it. So I think that would
Oh
be one
yeah.
of my things that I would probably try. Of course, a walk and a hike you can just never go wrong with. They're just my favorite thing. So
Yeah.
okay,
And
well,
as
yeah.
long as it ends in sex, I'm totally down for all of that. Okay.
Hey, okay. If that's on the menu, I take it, of course. Absolutely. As long as it's consensual, as opposed to this
Yes.
next story. The reason I mention that is I don't know for those I know, Cody, Drag Race Kandy Muse. She was a runner-up in the season 13 that she was on, but she was recently assaulted and groped at the club that she often works at, and she decided to post it to Twitter to let everyone, or X as it's being called now, it she shared the disturbing post about an incident that happened overnight between Friday, February 9th and Saturday, the 10th, at a gay club where she works. She decided in the interview to not let everyone know where she works because she doesn't need that, but she gave a little bit more details on what went on. And what she essentially said was she was dancing with her friend or a guy that she had met, and some guy that others had noticed throughout the night that was inebriated either on alcohol or drugs, her words, she couldn't figure it out, was bothering other people in the club that night. Well, Candy is dancing with this guy and feels somebody grab onto the back of her jeans and is yanking on them. And she was kind enough to say, "No, please, sir, like, take your hands off." And to no avail, she kept going. Well, she got a little bit angrier, and this guy decided to, as a response, assault her. And she has these huge scratches on her arm that, like, bloody scratch marks. And she
Mm.
said, "Last night at the club, I was assaulted by a man that was groping me and clinging onto the back of my pants and wouldn't let go of me. I told him to let go of me and no multiple times. He then got upset. I wanted nothing to do with him and he proceeded to attack me. I'm okay, was a bit shaken up last night, but people need to understand no is no." She went on to give an interview to out.com, and essentially, her message was, "I can't believe this is still happening, particularly in our safe spaces." But one of the things she really wanted people to know is no means no. And please don't come up to people, whether it's me or anybody, and do this kind of thing. And it does, to me, bring up, while a lot of our spaces that we love to go to, like Cody, we were at the Eagle last night, and it's fun, all fun and games until somebody is a little bit too intoxicated. And I know you've seen it before, Jeremy. You used to work at the Eagle. I know you've seen it in action before, but I'll start with you, Cody, because I know you're a big Drag Race fan. A, did you hear about this with Kandy Muse? B, what are your thoughts about this and her message?
I had not heard about this, and I'm quite shocked that this actually happened. Maybe not. I think that this is something that happens continually in the club, and I think that it's really sad. And I think that nobody deserves to be manhandled or to have their bodily autonomy or just their body in general harmed. It's so disgusting, and I'm so sorry that Candy had to go through this. You know what? Last night I was mean mugging. I would just I had this demeanor in the club, I feel like, and it's very standoffish. And I wondered to myself, why do I have this mindset when I'm in the club? And it's just because of situations like this. It keeps the wrong people away, and anybody, and probably keeps the right people away as well. But I've
What's what's the energy that you put out there again?
a combative, not really combative, but like standoffish. And I feel like my face, I have a resting bitch face, basically. So I feel like a lot of people don't come up to me in the club just because of that. I've actually had people come up to me and say, "You look really mean. What's going on with you?" But I feel like it saved me from a lot of bad situations. So I don't recommend it, but I think that it's something that has afforded me to not be in this type of situation, which I think is horrible.
Yeah, it's a fine line, Jeremy, because in one sense, we want everybody to go to bars, clubs like the Eagle here in New York City that have more of a cruising vibe. You want people to feel comfortable. You want people to be sexually free, feel uninhibited, explore. But on the other hand, alcohol and often other extracurricular activities are involved and can blur that line. And I know you've been front line to a lot of this when you were working in the New York Eagle store. And what's some of your experiences you can share? And what do you think about what happened to Kandy Muse?
I think what happened to her is really awful, and uh, definitely does happen in nightlife, and it just like irks me and pisses me off. I just can't stand when people go out and can't handle their alcohol, and then also not even just over drinking, but then mistreating people around you. And it's like, just keep your fucking hands to yourself and enjoy your night. If you're just going to get inebriated, then go home, or at least like be cognizant enough to respond to someone's reaction to you doing something to them. You know what I mean? Like, and I just remember so many instances where when you work somewhere that's really in a very uh, sexually intense setting, and then on top of that it being really small and
Right.
not a lot of space, and people just see something they like and then just think that you're automatically okay with them touching you or feeling you up, and just how annoying that is. And I would always like push people, and or just get security. A lot of times
Yes.
I'd just get up and get security because we had security guards walking around, and sometimes I'd honestly have to have people like escorted out and things like that, just
Good for
because
you.
I'm not just going to sit there and take it.
I'm so glad you brought up security because one of Candy's main messages that I failed to read, but I'm glad you reminded me, was security helped her out at the club. She thanks security, and her message to others, if you find yourself in that situation, and could be a good message in general, when you walk into spaces like this, maybe just look around for maybe where the security guard is positioned. And where we're talking about here in New York at the Eagle, there's several of them around, but we understand that that's not always the case in all bars. But maybe just make a mental note when you do walk into a space like that, like, where is the person that could potentially help me out if I found myself in a situation? And it could never be a bad idea. And I'm glad you brought that up. You know, I'm about to hit the Vakaya Caribbean cruise that sets sail out of Fort Lauderdale this Saturday. Super excited. Shout out to anybody that is going to go because I will be on it all week long. But one of the things they do have there is their red light district, and it's something that they started in their inaugural cruise, and then Kodi and I went on the Puerto Vallarta resort, that they had a version of it on a boat produced by Jets
Mm.
Adventures. Shout out to Jets Adventures. But one of the things that that you get in your welcome package, and I'm just looking at it right now, they just give a little bit of how to act in this kind of situation. You wouldn't think you would have to tell people, but one of the things they say is understand that consent is sometimes nonverbal, And to put a finger on the above, if someone is blindfolded on all fours, they're likely giving you nonverbal consent to have sex with them. But if a guy is standing there with his dick in his hand, he's giving you nonverbal consent to approach and likely give him oral sex. If, however, anyone pulls away or otherwise signals a change in intent, that means they've declined consent too. And so that's really key when, Kandy was in, I believe, a general gay club bar, if you will, and it wasn't necessarily a cruise bar. I'm talking about maybe taking it to the next level of bars or this red light district on the Vakaya that does have that sort of sexual cruising vibe. And even then, well, you can have somebody, you're walking through, there's places, Kodi, at the Eagle where you can peruse through, and it's, things are happening in that area, and you can
Hmm.
maybe put your hand out. But then if someone's not interested and they push your hand away, that's also nonverbal cues are a big thing. And one of the things I'd just like to read at the very end of this, because it's a very lengthy thing on the Vakaya cruise, is don't let rejection ruin your night. So some people will want to play with you, some simply won't. The person you've been looking at all night may not be into you, and that's okay. Accept it.
Mm.
And that's part of the reality of every place space. That to me is such a good life lesson in general. It's sad that we even have to say this, to people, but we do. And yeah, Kodi, did you have anything else to add to this, to
Mm.
what we were talking?
I just think it's really great, all that advice. And just because somebody rejects you, there's the reason that you're in a play space is because there's so many people there that will play with you and you will have an amazing night. Just if they brush your hand away, keep it pushing and you'll be just fine.
Exactly. Absolutely. Okay. Well, have fun out there, but just understand the cues that are right there for you. It's called emotional intelligence, people. Okay. Dixon Dallas is somebody we've been talking about a lot on this show. His hits have really hit the gay community, but they've also been pissing off some redneck fans, or non fans, I should say. Dixon Dallas has been dodging haters for quite some time with his very popular and controversial bops. Well, singing about boosies, bouncing off booty cheeks, and being cracked open like a cold Bud Light, he has definitely rattled conservatives and anyone who likes to complain for a living. Well, he's not letting the trolls get in the way of him putting out songs. His latest, Leave This All Behind, shows a softer side to Dallas. Boys who arch their backs have feelings too, is one of the quotes in there. I like that. And it ain't easy being the number one country music artist in the world. I've got labels blowing up my phone, broke my thought swatter because I keep having to swat away all these men and women. A lot of country boys want to beat me up. A lot of country boys want to beat it up, etc. The list goes on, he says, but we're hanging in there. The backlash, though, isn't new to him. And he says to those think that he's queer baiting, crowds keep saying I'm making a mockery of the LGBTQ community and whatever else. I've said it before, but I wanted to keep doing this for the people that tell me my music means something to them. The haters can stay mad. This music isn't for them. I'm a big fan. I'm not even a big country fan. And over the weekend, Beyonce, of course, had to enter the space during Super Bowl weekend to announce that she's dropping a new album and it's going to be country. I'll start with you, Kodi. Are you, as a Beehive fan or Beehive, or are you going to be listening to that? Because what do you think about Dixon Dallas, who is in the genre? Although he switched genres at one point, he was rap.
Yeah, I am here for this Beyonce album. I was a little bit skeptical at first, but then I listened to the song and I'm enjoying it. And I kind of really want to hear her interpretation of what country music is like for her through her lens. So that should be fun. And Dallas Dixon, he's really grown on me. And his
Dixon
music is
Dallas.
so Dixon Dallas? Oh
Yes.
man, I think there's a porn star called Dallas Dixon. So I
There's a
conflate them
movie
sometimes.
and all the above. Dallas.
Dixon Dallas. Oh my
Dallas.
gosh.
I
I
know.
just got it. That's so
I
funny.
know it's Debbie Does Dallas or something like that back in the day. Dixon Dallas. That's hilarious.
Okay. So yeah, that's very funny. So okay. Yeah, but I love him, whatever his name is. And I think that he is he's a great performer, and he doesn't need to let the haters get to him because he knows that he's got a great thing going. So good for him.
Yeah, I mean, controversy is the name of the game these days to really make it big. And he might be my crossover artist, if any, to get me to like country a little bit more. I actually like some of his tracks. Jeremy, what do you think about Dixon Dallas? What do you think about some of the haters and how he's responding to it? And then we want to hear about what you think about the Beyonce country album.
Well, I love how he's responding to it, and I when I don't like something, I just leave it alone, and I wish that that was like the way that a lot of people handled things that they don't like. And uh, another thing that I'm not a big fan of is Beyonce or country, and that's country from anyone really. So for me, I don't think that I will be listening to the new album or be a big fan of it, but the last one was great. And yeah, the country space is just not uh, my tea, and not something that I plan to uh, love in the future moving forward, but I'm totally fine with people that love it.
Very diplomatic, and I'm I'm the same way too. It's like, yeah, if you like it, you like it. There's a guy that I see here in New York. He really likes it, and he's played some stuff for me, and I like it. But it's not really my go-to. I mean, I'm not listening to it, and her Beyonce doing this is not gonna make definitely not gonna get me to listen to that. I don't want to hear that. But at all. Like I could care less. And but I'm here for Dixon, and not sure I'm going to download all his music, but good for him for staying relevant and not caring what the haters think. So yeah. Um, okay, well, we need to give some advice, and this is an interesting one. We were talking recently, just earlier today, about how no means no, but this person wrote to Reddit and they said so many people ghost after what seems to be a good hookup. And they wrote, "Hey there, guys. I have been having a weird problem lately, and I'm curious about what you think. I've been having this problem where after hooking up with people, they end up ghosting or blocking me. Like all of my pictures are recent. I have mostly ones that are there are at less flattering, so it doesn't seem like false advertising. So it's not only like flawless selfie angles or lighting that he's putting up, mainly so they don't expect perfect 10 out of 10, like an Instagram model or something. And so I think his question is, the hookups seem to go perfect, his words, like I leave them shaking, let's just say. Okay. Like, you can
Okay.
tell when someone is enjoying it versus faking it as a bottom, like twitches, all of that. Yet the last 5 or so guys have blocked me afterwards. The last guy was straight, so I understand that one, but what gives? And somebody wrote initially, and then I want to hear from you. Some people just want to hook up with new people all the time. I'm kind of with that theory that it's probably not that serious, and you do, in my mind, have to take a hookup, particularly of those that you meet on the apps. Sometimes, if those that you even meet in the bar and clubs, with a grain of salt. Enjoy the moment, enjoy what that experience is bringing you at that time, get what you need out of it, give a lot of yourself, but don't, beyond that, make it a beautiful jack off moment that you can think about later at another moment in time. If they do respond and come back later, hey, you just won the jackpot. We didn't win the jackpot last night, Kodi, at the Eagle, and we
We
bet our
didn't.
$25. But how do you weigh in on now? Wah, wah. But do you agree that a lot of hookups can be ghosting? What do you think about what he says about blocking, though?
The blocking really seems excessive to me. I don't know if I've ever blocked anybody on, well, I have, but only because they have done something that was offensive to me. If I went there and I hooked up and I had a good time, I'm not blocking you, basically. So I don't know. It sounded a little iffy to me. It sounded like he needs to evaluate what it is that he is doing, or maybe talk to somebody that he hooked up with so that he can ask them what is going on, kind of get some insight into what he could be doing to have these guys block him, because it just seems excessive. Like you were saying, though, maybe these people just don't want to date anybody, but maybe they don't want to date him. So he needs to probably do some searching.
Perhaps, but I mean, Jeremy, when you hear something like this, and I don't know that he's looking for the person because it's sexual, right? I mean, he's talking about like the boy's ass quivering and that kind of thing. So I think he's really just thinking, this was so good. Why can't we do this again another time? And not only are they ghosting him, but they seem to be blocking him. What do you think about the first part, that it's, do you think it's a common thing that if you, once you did it, you know, you're not really that interested in doing it again?
I mean, I think that some people get their fix with it and don't necessarily want or are not looking for a repeat, and so it's like a one and done. And then other times some people are like open to a friends with benefits type of thing. But I would say, as advice, just from uh hooking up with guys in the past and being on the apps and things like that, it's just, I think all of it you have to take with a grain of salt, and I think that you shouldn't take any of it too seriously, and I think that you should just have fun, be yourself, enjoy what does take place, and not think too hard or too much into the negative aspect of it. So if they block you, then they're lost. They don't get to sleep with you again. And I mean, and you move on and you have the memory, like you said, to think about in the future and reenact, or whatever the case may be. But I just think getting into uh, your head too much about it, when it should be fun and somewhat jovial, and it's something that you really shouldn't take too serious or to heart, and definitely not get down on yourself about.
Right. I have a question. Do you, maybe both of you know this, how do you tell, how can you tell if somebody blocks you? So let's just take Grinder or Scruff. If I were to, let's just say I met up with a guy on one of the two and I decided, oh my gosh, that was so hot. Let me just tell them. And when can we do this again? Would I be able to know that they blocked me?
Yes, you. They will. Their whole entire
Their
thread.
whole,
I. Uh,
their whole would quiver, but then they'll still block me.
and then they'll block you. No, your entire conversation disappears, from what I understand. So they would just be gone. I feel like I've been blocked before, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, to Jeremy's point, a lot of it, take it with a grain of salt. I think hookups, you know, you never really, it is a hookup. You don't know this person from Adam. If you had an amazing experience, enjoy what that was. You have a mind, and which is a database in my world, and use it for an intense jack off session that you want to conjure up down the road. If you're lucky that, you know, they don't block you and want to get together, you know, 9 times out of 10, I think that's usually the story. You don't really get together with somebody you just hooked up with on an app or even in the club. But once in a while, like I've met somebody that I met at the Naked Beach that I talked about on the show before. And every once in a while, he follows me on Instagram. And after a month and a half or so, I'll get like, and he's in a relationship, I'll get a DM from him like, "What's going on, sexy?" And I'm like, "Okay, here we go. We're going back to it." And it's getting better and better each time. I know he's in a relationship, so I don't take that part seriously. So it just happened to, the stars aligned, if you will, and we do have this kind of repeat performance. And I wouldn't even call us friends with benefit, although we are. the friendly part is we, chit chat when he gets here a little bit and when he leaves. So I guess that's the friends part. But yeah, it's a good thing. But it's rare, I believe, for that to happen. So don't take it too seriously, like you both said. And yeah. Okay. So good. Thank you so much for weighing in on these. We always want to hear from you and let us know what you think. You can go to tagspodcast.com and leave a message there. Don't forget you can rate and review us. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It will only help spread the word of Tags Podcast and our other show, Tags Live. You can always follow my co-host. Follow Jeremy on the gram. He is at J. Ross Lopez, at J. Ross Lopez. Follow Kodi. He is a life coach at KMD Coaching. Follow his personal thought Instagram account at Mr. Maurice. Mr. Maurice. Follow me on the gram. I am _Steve V. And don't forget, I have an OnlyFans with new material coming out each week. It's brand new, or relatively brand new. It's onlyfans.com// sexy poppy Steve V. And you can expect some really good collabs hopefully happening on this upcoming Vakaya cruise. So stay tuned for that. Kodi and I are live this Wednesday with Tags Live on Valentine's Day. So if you find yourself not with a Valentine, join us. We will be your Valentine. And in the meantime, continue having hot
Hot
day
sex.